Dub Nation may have to reset their perspective on Brandin Podziemski. Now, this week, there was that little back and forth with he and Wiggins, right? And I think that spurred a lot of this talk. And I talked a little bit about it in yesterday's video, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper into detail. And, you know, there is a fine line between cockiness and confidence, especially in an athlete, right? But how many guys have we seen come into the league super talented, but ultimately you're like, dude, they're just not competitive enough. They don't have enough juice. They don't communicate. Down the stretch of games, they've got shrinkage, like Jason Tatum. All right, I took a little shot there. I like to have fun. But, you know, this is what we want in a player, at least in my perspective. In-your-face, ultra-competitive communicator who is confident, borderline cocky. But like with everything else, there's going to be give and take. And I do think that there is a bit of a maybe teacher's pet kind of thing going on here. And I keep hearing people say, oh, Kerr is just, he treats him so differently as a rookie and he's playing all these minutes. Yeah, certainly. I think that there is an aspect of he does all the little things that coaches like. I don't think it would just be Kerr, right? But I also think there's an aspect of the big three embracing him, right? Steph, Clay, and Draymond embracing him and liking him so much that perhaps some of the salt coming from an Andrew Wiggins or these other guys is from that as well. And look, there is no doubt that they probably are leaning on him too much at this point, right? They are. 35 minutes, the way he plays that hard, you're asking a bit too much, and we are seeing limitations, but again, perspective and expectations. Because let's revisit our introduction to Brandin Podziemski, right? We're sitting there with the 19th pick. Cam Whitmore is on the board, and there were a plethora of other players, I think, that people maybe circled at that spot. And initially, Dub Nation was kind of like, I cannot believe they took a small white guard out of Santa Clara. Now, I was skeptical myself, but not quite as harsh as most people were. I was like, well, let's wait and see. I see what they see. I'm not sure it's going to translate. Summer League arrives. I showed up there like a lot of you did, and he struggled. And again, I was like, yo, slow down. Let's slow down a bit here because I've watched Summer League since its existence. And there are a lot of, quote, hoopers and bucket getters that look amazing in Summer League and never have any success in the NBA. And so I was like, hey, let's see what he looks like amongst NBA players and amongst better players. His game may not fit Summer League. So training camp rolls along and first couple weeks of the season, and I think most people were like, oh, okay, he's pretty good. He's pretty good, right? And then it was like, oh, I like this kid. He's feisty. Okay. We hit on the 19th pick. And then at some point during the season, as they probably over-relied on him, the perspective and narrative kind of changed to it's too much pods. Oh, he's overstepping and this and that. And again, perspective, limitations, expectations. If we were to redraft this class, you got the top three, Wemby, Brandon Miller, and Scoot. They're going to go top three every time just because of their ceilings, right? But after that, listen, I like the Thompson twins. I do, but there's an argument to be made. Jaime Jaquez and Pods go top 5, 6, 7 in this draft. And it's probably a little too early to do a redraft on it. We're not even through their rookie year. But the point is they hit on a pick at 19, and he has all the intangibles, all the juice that you want in a young player. And like I said in yesterday's video, just because maybe they're not treating him like a normal rookie doesn't mean that we shouldn't. And it almost feels like Dub Nation has kind of forgotten that he is a 21-year-old rookie that wasn't even taken in the lottery and is being asked to play 30-plus minutes and probably do too much at this point. Let's talk about his limitations and what I see in his game and you know, coach's eye and all that stuff. I talked about hip bend and getting downhill, and his finishing has been suspect. There's no doubt about it. It's in my experience that if a player plays upright and he doesn't have a lot of hip bend, there's not a ton you can do about it. That's kind of genetics, right? But there is a give and take to playing upright. And when you think about some of the best distributors and passers in the history of the game, a Steve Nash, a John Stockton, a Mark Jackson, not saying that that's his blueprint, but these great passers, they play upright. They play with their chest up. right? Because now you can just naturally, you see everything, you see the floor, and you're ready physically to make a pass, right? If you're down, now you think about Allen Iverson, think about Ja, think about some of these great scorers. They're super down, chests pointed to the floor, and they're low because they're trying to get angles and they're trying to get to the cup to score themselves. I also think the other aspect of playing upright is it can help you as a shooter. It really can, because you can consistently get to your form quickly. And I want you to try that. Next time you're on a court, get into a size up move or whatever you like to do, but do it extra low. Get extra low and then try to rise up into your shot. And what you're going to find is it's not as easy to get on balance and get chest up and get to your set point. And so, he may never be a great finisher. And that's not to say he can't find contact. I do think he needs to jump into bodies and maybe hunt the foul, even though we're getting rid of that now. Thank goodness we're getting rid of the janky fouls. It looks like NBA, but he is going to have to seek contact. Like the other night when I think it was PJ Washington got him in transition, right? He needed to just jump into PJ, take the contact, and then use the English, not outstretch and outreach in that hook shot. I don't have a problem with him taking that hook shot when it's north-south and he can play the glass. But when he's moving horizontally, like east-west across the paint, and he's taking that hook shot, unless you're a 7-footer and you can kind of like look down in the rim, that's just extremely difficult to shoot efficiently. The other thing that obviously needs to get better with both the rookies is the free throw shooting. Trace is going to get more of a pass because he's a big guy, and they always do at the foul line, right or wrong. But as a guard, Podziemski profiling, he's letting his people down at the line. But what I would say with that is slow down your release a little bit. And it's very common for rookies to struggle at the foul line because I think that the game stops and there's so many eyes and attention on him, national TV and all that it's just uncomfortable for rookies. It takes a little bit of time to just adjust to getting comfortable at the line. You see a lot of young guys, you can tell they want to get off the line. They shoot, they lean off it, and they get off, right? So, but I think the positive is I don't think it's going to be a mental thing, a confidence thing with him at the line. Mechanically, what I would say is slow down the release a little bit. He's got a very quick, sometimes snake bite release on his jump shot. The foul line is a different shot. Find a way to, with your breath and your rhythm as you step to the line and release it a little slower. And I think that will climb up because it certainly needs to. Staying on the shooting subject, you don't want him to settle for threes, but if you're struggling to finish in the paint, I think he could take more threes right now and still shoot it well enough. But I also think the reality of his game is if he's going to play that hard, like on 10 every time he's on the floor and hit the floor first, rebound, take charges, do all the above, it's going to cost some of his shooting. That's the reality. Here we are again back at give and take. And I'll use Marcus Smart as an example. Not that they're the same player, but I think they're of the same ilk. And for years, you used to hear Celtic fans not just complain about his shot selection, but just that he didn't shoot it well enough, right? Well, he's doing everything else. Hoopers, you know this to be true. If you're a 5-tooler, if you rebound, you defend, you run the floor, you hustle all these things, it's going to take away from some of your shooting. You're not just standing in the corner, barely breaking a sweat as just a shooter. That's just the truth of the matter. But again, I think ultimately he'll shoot it well enough to where you want him taking the 3-ball. But yeah, I do agree with a lot of you that are saying he's probably playing too many minutes, especially when you consider how hard he plays. You know what I'm saying? And could Moody take 3 or 4 or 5 of those minutes and keep him under 30? Absolutely. But if we're going to talk about minutes, Moody, and rotations, we'll be here all day, right? But I just think ultimately I'm here to remind y'all of the expectations and the perspective of the 19th pick. And we hit on 2 draft picks this year that weren't lottery that look like they're going to be a big part of the future. So as frustrating as this season has been in watching them take their lumps and questioning this and that, let's not lose perspective that we hit on these 2 picks moving forward. Now, we've got this Laker game here Saturday. It sounds like Steph's going to be back. And so, I'll be here to cover that breakdown on Patreon and all that. Underdog fantasy, I continue to play. I continue to win. I continue to have fun. I will give you picks for that Laker game when they come out. Tonight, I like Miles Bridges higher than 21.5 against the Suns. And I'll tell you why. It's a weird reason. Remember, he was supposed to be traded to the Suns. That was the rumor all through the trade, rumors, because is it Ishbia, this new Suns owner, Michigan State alumni? There was that connection, but ultimately Bridges vetoed it because I think he realized the Suns don't have the money to pay him. But Charlotte obviously not contending for a play-in or playoff spot. LaMelo not playing. Gordon Hayward's out of there. He's getting all he can eat, and he's hunting a contract. And so against the team that he potentially was supposed to go to, and in those rumors, I expect him to hit his higher in points. And what I encourage y'all to do is, you don't have to take all my picks, but if you see one that you like, add it to yours, and we can continue to play together and win. Use the code Alchemy, and you'll get 100% bonus on your first deposit. It does help the channel. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.